Clay, you're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. And as they say in Stoic, the obstacle is the way. And so if you let these pinheads get in your way, you're in trouble. Acta non verba is the motto of the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy at Kings Point, New York. I had appointments to Naval Academy and Kings Point Merchant Marine Academy. And Merchant Marine Academy's motto was acta non verba. In other words, don't listen to what a person says. Watch what they do. Clay, my honor to be on your show. And thank you for all you do. I hear the ripple effects from you are good ripple effects. You know what I mean? People rave about what they learn from you. So congratulations.
My name is Kevin Thomas, and the name of our company is MultiClean. We are a commercial janitorial service, and we serve the entire state of Oklahoma and Kansas and soon to be Arkansas. We have probably grown probably 5 times. We've added, I think when we first started with you, we had 60 to 65 employees. And now we have a little over 300 employees. Before we got involved with Thrive Time, we didn't really have any systems or processes in place. I've probably been to, in 6-7 years, I've probably been to 12 to 13 business conferences. And amazingly, each time I go, I learn something new, and I'm so excited to bring it back and show the team about marketing and how to implement, how to help you guys implement the SEO. And the coaching is just great because there's accountability, and it's just a fantastic way to grow your company. Having a relationship with Thrive Time it's just been amazing for MultiClean. Oh my goodness, it frees me up because then I don't have to take a class on search engine optimization or learn marketing or shoot video. That's not what we do. What we do is commercial janitorial service. And you guys are the experts on marketing, and you teach me and hold my hand and show me how to do it right. And therefore, now my company is much, much larger.
Folks, on today's show, we're joined by a real client. He may look like a male model. He may look like a hologram, but he's a real person. He's a longtime client. He's a man that we consider to be a friend of the Thrive Time Show and a friend of mine. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Kevin. Welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
Clay, I'm doing great. Had a great Christmas holiday, and I'm glad to be here.
Okay, so first question, can you tell us what is your name, first and last name, and what's the name of your company, sir?
My name is Kevin Thomas, and the name of our company is MultiClean. We are a commercial janitorial service, and we serve the entire state of Oklahoma and Kansas and soon to be Arkansas.
And how long have we worked with you approximately at this point, sir?
It's been about 6-7 years.
Oh, man. One of the big focuses on the Five Conservative Show is, what are the main things in your life? I'm assuming they're probably similar to ours. You want your health to be right. You want your relationships to be right. You kind of want to make sense of the world and interpret, events through the lens of conservative Christian values. But the whole purpose of being American and not living under a communist regime is that you can, if you can make next year better than this year,
Yes.
and you can play a role in making it so. A big part of that is doing better at your job, or doing so good maybe you don't need that job and you could do the same thing on your own. Any version of that, when you watch movies that are inspirational and exciting, it's like, oh, that's good, that's good, that's good. Well, there's a guy that's come into our life that kind of makes those things happen, kind of like Mickey, did for Rocky.
Yeah.
Kind of like, Mr. Miyagi did for Daniel's son. Does that for people in every area of their life, specifically taking their businesses from good to great and helping you do better inside of any business that you're a part of. He's the author of more books than most people have read. The most current one is How to Build a Successful Business. And don't be intimidated, it's kind of thick, but it does have pictures for those of you that enjoy that as well. The one, the only Mr. Clay Clark.
Yeah! Woo! Mr. Miyagi.
David, Stacy, greetings from Tulsa, Jerusalem.
Wax on, wax off.
Clay.
Our mentors here.
That is for sure.
We get a lot of comments on these shows because there's a lot of people that are I would say post-election of November, they were kind of maybe in a holding pattern a little bit, but they're kind of reevaluating a lot of things. America, what's America's role in the world? What's their role within America? And in the previous 4 years did a lot to sort of shake the foundations of what people would have, the coat rack they would have been hanging things on they thought were solid, like maybe the trust they had in the medical system, maybe the trust they had in, maybe their pastor and the way things were handled. Maybe they're kind of reevaluating some of these things. I used to go here, maybe I go here. Maybe I'm actually reading the Bible for myself, for the first time, in my life, even though I went to church for 30 years. People are kind of making some changes, in their life. But a big one is I see a lot of people kind of leaning in, and there is a spirit of optimism in the country right now. People are, companies are building and expanding. People are changing careers. There's a lot of shift going on. But I think the things that you talk about are so clear. Financial frameworks, what do you do with your money? What are you doing with your time are more important than ever based on the emails, the texts, the things that with the conversations we have. We were at Julie Green. She filled a hockey arena
I know.
Recently with Robin Bullock. He filled up the Grand Ole Opry.
Yep.
People that didn't know that those areas even existed or leaning into it. And at the same time, they're like, hey, the financial frameworks and I'm starting a business. There's this kind of a hopeful optimism of what things are happening in the future. And a lot of people like eat meat, cut back on carbs and processed foods. There's this in every area of people's life. There's this optimism of, hey, I'm losing some weight. Hey, I'm more active. Hey, I'm starting to do a date night with my wife. I'm eating dinner with my kids at the table. There's like changes happening in people's lives that are very practical. And, I think you apply practical, applicable ideas in every area of your life.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I want to see if your producer could pull up clip number 1, because I want to set this story here, Dave. There was a guy who came into my life about 8 years ago, very successful in the medical space. And, when people come in, they have a new idea. A lot of times people that go to thrivetimeshow.com and they click on the testimonials button, they're kind of determining patterns based upon the first 15 videos they see. Okay, so I try to vary it up, but people go, oh, Clay, you only work with service companies, or you only work with product companies, or years ago, clients used to say, you only work with business to business companies. I remember years ago, people used to say, you only work with online product sales companies. Dave, I've had people say, you only work with social media companies, because they extrapolate a pattern based upon the most recent testimonials they've seen on the first page. And so I'm always trying to mix it up. Well, this guy came into my life and he said, hey, I'm a doctor, and I've heard that you're sort of this online product sales guru guy, and I want to sell this product. I could envision it someday maybe getting into Hobby Lobby and Christian bookstores and Mardel's and that kind of thing. And I wanted to know if you could help me. And so if we play this video real quick, this is a man who grew his business by 30,000%.
Wow.
30,000%. So let's
That is all the
play here.
percent.
Here we go.
My name is Dr. Enes Shakargil, and my company's name is Logos Trading Post, and it goes logostradingpost.com. It's LOGOS tradingpost.com.
If you had to describe as a percentage the kind of growth that you've had, I mean, is there even a percentage you can put on it? Because I think when we first started on Logos, I think it was 0 sales or maybe just very little sales. Is there some kind of percentage of growth that you could share?
Yeah, something like 30,000% growth. I don't know. I mean, we're very busy. We have so much customers, so much wholesale customers and retail customers, and constantly growing, and we're constantly needing to hire more people. I'm not complaining. This is becoming our wholesale business, becoming a household name. There are so many established Christian giftware companies out there. They've been out there for 20, 30 years, but we're going head to head with them, especially for the retail space that is really meaningful on a national chain levels. We are on so many national chains, like we're in Hobby Lobby. That, thankfully, I mean, you can go to Hobby Lobby this Christmas and find some olive wood ornaments in small nativities came from Bethlehem. You will find them in their Christmas section.
You could be anywhere doing a lot of different.
Okay, so Dave, that's a guy. He grew his business by
Wow.
30,000%. What does he do? It's called logostradingpost.com. Now, that's what's interesting about this success story. That's the second company I've helped him do that with. The first one was called Fish Flicks, which is a company that he sold. It was like a Netflix, but for Christian movies.
Yeah.
So we've helped the guy have viral, multi-million-dollar success, not once, but twice. And so I was at one of my son's events, and I ran into somebody, and they go, hey, that guy that you worked with, the guy you're working with, the guy. And I said, what guy? They go, he sells the stuff in the Hobby Lobby. And I've got 2 clients right now that sell their products in Hobby Lobby. And I'm going, which one? They go, the guy, the doctor guy. Yeah. I go, I think, isn't he big time? And I'm going, I don't know. Let me call him. Let's see what big time looks like. And that's why we recorded that this week. So I'm just trying to tell somebody, if you're watching today's show, and you have an online business, an offline business, you're a doctor, you're a dentist, you're a janitor, you're somebody who has a job, the principles we're going to teach on today's show are going to help you embrace the principles needed to have tremendous success. If you're watching today's show, you're an employee, you're an employer, you're self-employed, you want to be self-employed. The 3 tips I'm going to teach you on today's show, they're going to match accurately the description you put up on the screen. This is a business blueprint. This is a business blueprint. And Stacy, we're going to walk everybody through this, but I want people to get excited for a second. I want to get you to give yourself permission to be excited that guy, Dr. Ennis, as exciting as he is or isn't, he had 30,000% growth on one company. And that's not the first success story we've helped that same guy have. So Stacy,
awesome.
Everybody watching this show, they can do it.
Absolutely. I think that's really important for people to see that. Like, obviously he had an idea and then you helped to grow that idea. And I think that's really important. That's where what we found with you is you have an anointing for business. And I love going to your conferences. I love hearing all the different stories. And none of them are the same background. Like you said, I mean, it could be one person's a doctor and another person has a product that you're helping to bring. I mean, it is really exciting to see how you've helped so many different people from so many different backgrounds.
I've attended a lot of conferences in my life. My parents always had me going to these business conferences as a kid, and whether people like their personalities are identified by either like a flag or a color or a gemstone, or you got the introvert, extrovert, you're motivated by parties, motivated by fun, motivated by this. No matter what it is, they're pretty much well represented at your conferences by people that make usually like $100,000 a month based on just your coaching. And it's a pest control business to a carpet cleaning to every different thing. I've been a guy that sells like barbecue rubs on Amazon, like every different kind of thing and every different kind of personality. Somebody that wears a hat and sits in the back row, somebody that's wearing pink on the front row, somebody it's like every different thing is represented at your conference because you have a principle-based approach on how you build every kind of business.
From eyelashes to eye doctors, they're all there.
So here are the 3 principles we're gonna get into today. Okay, so principle number 1, consistency is king. And I remember, if you go watch that long-form testimonial with Dr. Ennis, which everyone can see at thrivetimeshow.com/testimonials, or you can find it on our Rumble channel, so thrivetimeshow.com/testimonials. The first thing I said, Dr. Ennis, in order for you to have a very successful company, he says it during the interview, by the way, I said, you will not make a profit for 3 years. And he says, what? Are you the most demotivational consultant guy I've ever hired? I said, listen, you're trying to sell a product into Hobby Lobby, into Mardell's, into the Lifeway Christian book centers, into mega churches, into Christian. And guess what? You're not the first person to have that idea. You're not one of the first 1,000 to have that idea. You're not even one of the first 1 million to have that idea. And you know what? Your product isn't awesome. It isn't unique, and you're not that incredible. Guess what? We're all a child of God. This is the conversation we had. And you know what? You're a child of God. I'm a child of God, and you're not better than me. I'm not better than you, and we're not better than the other people. So what we have to do is we have to embrace the mindset that consistency is king. And he's like, okay, what do I have to do? I said, this is what we have to do. Step 1. And everyone out there, you can take notes. These are subpoints. We had to build a first-class brand. There's a lot of details into that, but the website, the print pieces, the business cards, everything needs to be first class because we can't be pitching a world-class product and have a second-class brand. So if you're watching today's show, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 is the best, 1 is the worst. How is your branding, your website? Step number 2, we need to find out the most ideal, what is the best way to reach our ideal likely buyers. We have to find the 3 most compelling ways to reach our ideal and likely buyers. He says, okay, I got it. What are the most 3 compelling ways? He said, what are those? I said, okay, Well, I already know, but I'm asking you this week, Mr. Client, to go to your research. Let's come back. Let's talk about it. He says, okay. So you come back the next week. Here was the secret sauce. One, we need to make a list of all of the buyers. They're called buyers, and buyers buy things for big box retail. Their job is to find the new hot product and put it in the retail store. So you need to find the buyers that buy for the big box retail. Step number 2, you need to make a Dream 100 list of all of the retail stores. Step number 3, you need to obsessively gather Amazon reviews like you have a psychological problem, like you've got poison ivy and you can't stop scratching, like you want Amazon reviews in the way that I want to breathe. You have to get Amazon reviews like the way that I want to breathe. Like, I can't, what's wrong? Well, why are you hyperventilating? Because I don't have an Amazon review. You might have to change your name to be Amazon review. People say, so glad to meet you. What's your name? Amazon review. I mean, you have to do whatever you have. Your mom says, how you doing? You doing good? Amazon review. You might just have to change the way you greet people to, hello, Amazon review. And then you have to call these buyers and you have to call these big box retail stores. And if you are good, and I don't think you are, if you are good, and I don't think you are, if you are good, for every 100 calls you'll make, you'll have one person that will take the call.
Wow.
One person will leave a review. And you have to eat rejection for breakfast. You have to find a way to take the hate and turn it into a haterade beverage that you sip on and you like it. You have to turn the bitterness into betterness. You have to find a way to enjoy the process of being rejected more times in a day than people have been rejected in their lifetimes. You have to find a way to love it, to say, I like rejection. Figuratively speaking, you have to walk into the prize fight of life and go, hit me, and somehow go, I like it. You have to figure out some way to enjoy the collision of commerce like you're Ray Lewis and you're playing linebacker. And this guy who's a doctor is like, I don't know what kind of crazy program I signed up for. Right? I mean, it's month to month, right? I mean, it's 1,700.
Yeah.
This is literal conversation. It's 1,700, right? I mean, it's month to month, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Because he was kind of wanting to, a calmer conversation.
Right.
He's kind of wanting to have a consultant, Harvard case studies, and he's read my books, and everyone's told him about the success, but no one says, when you sign up for the program, you're going to be stuck with a man who will force you to have success or drag you to success.
Yeah.
I
He's
remember
going to be so repetitive. You're going to hate it.
at the Reawaken events,
and
sometimes
so-
people at booths, I remember I talked to the Give a Durham ladies, when they were at one of the events, and they came up and they said, you've worked with Clay for quite a while. Like, is that work good for you and stuff? And I said, well, let's just be clear. You come to the Reawaken. I said, the people that come to this and they see him on stage or they watch his show, and they're maybe if you're kind of looking for a friend, it's probably not a good move. If you're wanting to go from here to here and you want to know exactly what you got to do it and somebody's going to help you do it, like you don't hire David Goggins to be your personal trainer unless you're like wanting to do better.
Right.
If you might like a David Goggins video and you want to have dinner with David Goggins, that's a whole different scenario. But if you want David Goggins to like live with you for 90 days and wake you up every morning, hey, TikTok, let's go. It's a little different scenario. And I said, that's kind of what you're getting with Clay, that kind of honesty.
And they had huge growth. Theirs was like, was it like 4,000% or something?
I think they even had a hard time pinning it.
4,000%.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, and I'll say, Stacey, just back to what Dave said, because I appreciate Dave's backhanded compliment. It's very true.
Yeah.
We were at the. It's true. We were at the. Compliment. We were at the Nashville Reawaken event, and I think Colton. I know you guys were there. I don't know if you saw this happen, but were you aware of what happened in the green room, Colton? Did you hear about the cater?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Our booth was right by it.
Our booth was we were like 5 feet from it.
It was legendary.
Okay, so there was a couple speakers that were talking about how there wasn't enough food or they didn't like the chairs, and I was like, okay. So I just took all the chairs out, told the caterers to clear out, no food, no chairs, problem solved. Because I'm talking about consistency. And people are like, he's getting rid of all the food and all the chairs. I'm like,
This isn't how I was treated at the green room at the RNC when I spoke there. They're like, we're saving America, fool.
This is not CPAC.
This isn't
so
CPAC.
step number one is principle number one, you have to have consistency is king. Consistency is king. So I want you right now, homework, I want you to get out a calendar, okay? And I want you to go ahead and design your calendar for when you're going to work on your business. So it's not a shock to me that we're on this broadcast today, and I'm honored to be here with you. It's not a shock to me that this morning I was meeting with our landscaping crew. It wasn't a shock to me that I was today having a conversation about a rental property. It wasn't, because it's in my schedule. So we what gets scheduled gets done. So step number one, consistency is king. Now we have a video clip number two, because this principle applies to buying precious metals. People have said to me, they said, Clay, when did you start buying gold? I said, well, in 2005. They said, why? So a friend of mine, he owned a bank, still owns a bank. He says to me, Clay, I take a quarter of my wealth, I buy precious metals, gold and silver. I take a quarter of my wealth, I buy real estate from emotional people. And I take the other half of my income and I hold it. I keep it for the next business opportunity. And I said to this guy, you take 25% of your money and you buy gold and silver? He said, yeah. I go, but you own a bank. Like, you own a bank. And he says, that's why I do it, because my bank, Clay, this is how a bank works. And my mind was blown. And he's the one who told me about this book here, The Collapse of the Dollar. He said to me, Clay, my bank works like this. I borrow money from the Federal Reserve, which isn't federal, and there is no reserve, and they lend money to me that they don't have. And then I take the money they lent to me that they don't have, and I lend that magic money that I don't have, that they didn't have, to you, and then you pay me interest to rent the money that I don't have, that I got from people that also don't have it. And this will all continue to happen until the world stops accepting the U.S. dollar. And he's like, it'll happen eventually. And when it does stop, I'm going to own precious metals. Now, again, I didn't know anything I just said to you. I didn't know about the creature from Jekyll Island. I didn't know about the Federal Reserve. I didn't know any of that. But I thought, you know what? This guy is a multi-million dollar super success story, bank owning, high-flying entrepreneur. So I thought, he's probably out of his mind, Stacy. I thought, this guy's he's probably drunk. That's what it is. He's probably weird. So I went to another person I knew who owned a bank. Because I DJ'd at that time for a lot of Christmas parties and a lot of banks. So I go to a different banker by the name of Carl. And Carl says to me, well, what he told you checks out. That's what I do too. And I'm going, what? Because I hadn't, so then it became this quest of like, I'm going to sit down with bankers and ask them, where does the smart money put money? These guys that own banks, where do the informed investors put their money? And I kept hearing the same thing. So we're going to play this clip right here. There might be breaking news, but again, don't break the pattern that consistency is king. So here we go. Clip number 2 coming in hot. If we can play the first 60 seconds.
I think gold is a real asset class. It's no longer for lunatic survivalists and wild speculators. It's viewed as an asset class, and central banks have been accumulating gold. Gold was stuck in the mud because for a decade or more, central banks were selling it down. They've bought it all back.
What is the dollar actually worth when the world stops believing in it? In 1971, President Nixon delinked the dollar from gold.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold.
By defaulting on the U.S.'s promise to convert dollars to gold, he effectively launched the modern-day Great Fiat Experiment, where the global reserve currency, the dollar, was backed only by faith and trust in Washington. But as you can imagine, at that time, the Dixie, or the U.S. dollar index, which measures how strong the dollar is compared to other top currencies, plummeted as the rest of the world was trying to figure out what was the dollar even worth if it wasn't backed by gold. In the first 6 months of the year, the Dixie has dropped over 10%. Again, marking the worst start of the year since 1973, a time that we just went over. Gold.
This might be breaking news or new information for somebody, but it's not. It's a pattern. It's a trend. So just like Dr. Ennis, I'm like, Dr. Ennis, if you'll just keep consistently sowing seeds, I promise you're eventually going to see one of those seeds start to sprout. And if you just keep watering those seeds, you're going to see it start to grow. And I remember Dr. Ennis, he calls me one day and he says, Clay, I got this big account and they want to buy this much, whatever. And all of a sudden his sales went up by 20 times in one conversation.
Wow.
And I remember last year, you remember it too, because your whole family, Colton, David, Stacy, you guys all buy precious metals, and people are going, wow, gold hit 3,000. Wow, gold hit 2,000. Today people are saying, wow, silver just hit $36, $37. People are getting excited. Woo! But what I want to point out, let's calm down, says a man who's very excited all the time, myself. Calm down. And let's just be consistent about a few things. So I'm saying, if you're watching today's show, Again, this is very important. Schedule a consultation with a precious metals dealer that you can trust. The Flyovers team has a great precious metals team they trust. You guys have a great relationship with Kirk and his team. You've known him for a long, long time. Schedule a consultation, schedule a conversation, and then just be consistent in what you do. Okay. So if you want the pattern to be an accumulation of wealth, just start a conversation and start the habit, okay? The habit of buying precious metals. Don't start the one-time action. Start the habit. Don't buy it because it went up to 38. I don't know if people understand this, but this new technology, the self-driving cars and the new AI, it's going to require copious amounts of gold and silver to make this technology work.
Yep.
So you're going to see gold hit 50. You're going to see silver hit $50 an ounce, and you're going to see silver hit $60 an ounce. I'm not going to hop on a show and tell you when, but it's going to go up in value. Why? Because I'm excited about it? No. But you have to, and don't say, oh, well, the price is already too high. No. Everybody watching today's show, you need to start that consultation, start that conversation. So again, principle number 1 is be consistent. Now, principle number 2, and Colton, I want to tap into your younger wisdom on this because you were born closer to yesterday than I was. You have to measure what you treasure. You have to measure what you treasure. And I don't care if you're going to the gym. I don't care if you're growing a business like Dr. Innes. And I don't care if you're accumulating wealth by buying precious metals. You have to measure what you treasure. You have to measure what you treasure. I'm going to say it again. I'll go back to you, Colton. Why do you have to measure what you treasure, whether it's in fitness or growing a company or accumulating wealth? Why do you have to track or you will slack?
A lot of people, they feel out of control in the areas you just mentioned, their health, their wealth. Like when they think they're eating good, because when they think about the food, they're like, I'm eating good, but they're gaining weight and they're not exactly sure why, because it's just kind of a sporadic, like they eat when it's time to eat and they don't, and it's here and there. And also when you actually start putting down on paper, what did you eat? When you put it into the MyFitnessPal, what did you eat today? It gets really clear. You and I have had a lot of conversations about QuickBooks. A lot of business owners run their businesses on QuickBooks. I think you need a set of QuickBooks for like IRS, accountant. I think that world needs QuickBooks. But usually when you sit down with the business owner, you open up a spreadsheet and you start with like this week and you put how much did you spend? How much did you make? How much did you spend? How much? And it's just red and green, red and green. And you can't hide when you actually just put the cash there because it's really, 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 really clear. And the moment you actually start to measure it, then you can control it because you can actually adjust it. If you can't measure it, if it's not measured, it's just pie in the sky. It's this emotion. It's emotional. I think I'm doing good. I feel like I'm doing good. Then when things aren't going well, you don't even know how to make any adjustments. But when you're like, I am eating 2,000 calories a day and I am gaining weight. Well, then you probably need to cut it down to 1,800 calories a day. You probably need to cut it down to 1,700 calories a day. You need to, whatever you need to do. If you're going further into debt and you're not exactly sure why because you're making this money, the moment you start to actually measure it, you can make adjustments. You're like, oh, we're overspending by $500 per month. Well, overspending by $500 per month and underspending by $500 per month is the difference between living and dying. And your credit card's getting maxed out and your credit card's not getting maxed out. So once you measure it, you can actually make those adjustments. Once you can make adjustments, you can control it. And that control is what gives you the freedom to build wealth, to have a great body, to do what you want to do. But that measuring is the first step.
Marriage, everything's the same.
Woo, that was good. Wow. Preach it.
Now this is something I want to share, and this is probably just a look into my mind. Maybe it's sick, whatever. But I have little games I play. So a couple weeks ago, I played a game. I'm like, I wonder if I can get through my week and only eat $10 of food. I'm serious. I've had that thought.
That's an odd accumulation of ideas.
I'm like, I wonder if I can do that. And so I thought, okay, so, Sherwood, he sells these protein shake things, whatever, these meal replacement things. And I'm like, I think it's like $80 for one of those. So I'm just going to see what happens if what'll happen. And I can't tell you that it was an exciting week, but I can tell you that it happened because I'm like, I'm going to just eat, $10 of food and see what happens. But I can do that. And I was just measuring. I'm like, I wonder if I could do that. And I tracked, and through the process of tracking it, it was sort of a science experiment of like, wow, could I really do that? And you might say, what are you talking about? With gold and silver, my wife and I, when we were first, buying gold and silver, I said, well, what if we could buy an ounce a week? And so we had our mirror in our bedroom. And I said, every time we buy an ounce of gold, I'm going to get out my dry erase and I'll put a little tally mark on every time we buy an ounce of gold. Well, Dave, at the end of a year, the mirror had, the 50 marks, but any week we had some extra, I would buy like 2 ounces. So we got to the end of the year and you couldn't really even see your face when you're doing your hair or brushing your teeth because you're like, see, and it got exciting to me to measure what we treasure. And so just things that are going on in my world right now that I'm always doing, and I'm not encouraging everyone to go this way, but there's 3 things I'm always doing. And if people have been around me for a decade, they know I'm always writing a book.
Yep.
The Spinning Plate. I'm always writing a book. Yep. I'm always writing a song, and I'm always writing a business plan. These are 3 things that are never done, and they're always, and to me, it's infinitely interesting. So if I'm at a party or a place where I'm kind of bored, I start working on lyrics for a new song. If I'm like kind of bored and I'm sort of like in a place I don't want to be, like an airport, I start writing a book. And I'm always doing those 3 things. It keeps me going. But the key is we all get a new idea for a new song, a new book, a new diet, a new investment strategy. But step number 3 is it's in the follow-up. The success is in the follow-up. Step number 3, the success is in the follow-up. So I'm going to give people out there 5 specific examples, 90 miles an hour. You guys have been to my property. For anybody who goes to thrivetimeshow.com, when you come join Eric Trump and Julie Green and yourselves and Dave Scarlett here September 25, 26, we're having these business workshops. We do them every 2 months. I've been doing these things at least for a year for 20 years. One of the things I'm trying to do on our property is I'm trying to plant 500 trees within the first 10 years. So it's not like a super exciting unless you come every quarter and you kind of go, there's a lot new trees over there. There's 7 new trees. I think there's a lot of new trees here. So I'm trying to get 5 waterfalls and 500 trees up in the first 10 years.
Wow.
It's just something I'm working on. I'm willing.
Yeah.
So today we're planting 60 more trees. That starts today. And so I'm following up today with the hole diggers to make sure that the holes are done properly. And those hole diggers are my kids. My kids, you know, but it's a follow-up, and people might think that I'm being irrational or I'm some sort of problem, but I am not going to let the idea of having 500 trees drift into some suggestion in my life. It is going to happen. It is going to happen. Another example. Songwriting. A young man by the name of Brett Rayo has moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's a very talented musician. He sounds a lot like Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, let's team up. Let's work together because Brett's wanting to take his music career to the next level. And I don't want to exaggerate, but I think we've put out 35 original songs in the first 100 days he's been here. We have 5 more this week we're putting out. And it's just because it's a follow-up. We block time and we record. We're putting out 5 new songs in the next probably 7 days. But we knock it out, and that's something I'm always doing. Another example is books. I'm always writing books. And we have a new employee who's been here for about a year, and she says to me, you know, since I've worked for you, I think you've done 2 books. Are you always writing a book? I said, yeah. But I don't let it drift, because what gets scheduled gets done. Let me repeat. What gets scheduled gets done. Example number 4, it might sound kind of crazy. My wife is fascinated with castles. Okay. She likes castles. She likes to study the castle. Oh, look, castle. Oh, the moat. What year was it built? I wonder who lived here. And so I made a comment a while back. I said, I will buy you a castle.
Wow.
And she was like, what? I shall do it. So I have committed to it, and I know the process of it. And then this thing called the Reawaken Tour happened, which, by the way, is a money-losing machine that I created. And
but
so
country
it was
saving.
Like a setback.
It was money losing, but man, country
But it's
saving.
hard to buy a castle or have the money to go see a castle while doing a Reawaken Tour.
I
Very
know,
hard.
but man, we are so thankful that you did that.
But it was like a 4-year detour.
Yeah.
And somebody watching today's show, I big example because I was on pace to do it. I was going to do it. I was on pace to do it. I was in a position to do it, and it cost money to buy it, and I was ready to go. And I was going to buy this thing and do that thing. And then I felt like God was pulling at my heart and saying, you know, we need to tell people what's going on with the country, and we need to put our personal agenda aside. And that was a multi-million-dollar detour. And all the time and all the energy. So as we're making these goals and as we're learning these success principles, let's never get numb to the voice of the Holy Spirit. Let's never get numb to the voice of God. Let's never get so pig-headed about achieving our goals that we don't listen to God. And I'll just tell you, that was very, very frustrating for me every day, waking up, doing what I didn't want to do for 4 consecutive years. I felt like I was living the book of Jeremiah. Every tour event, I'm thinking, why am I going to Oregon again to lose $500,000 in here? What am I doing? Why am I building a venue in Las Vegas right now? Why am I in this lawsuit? And so I'm just, as we're going through these principles, let's never get numb to the Holy Spirit. I think that's where a lot of success principles and success authors and teachers get it wrong. They have a love of money, and that becomes the root of all evil because they err from the faith. So let's recap with a Christ-like perspective. One, you want to have consistency as king. That's important. So every day what you want to do is get out a little checklist and ask yourself, God, what do you want me to do today with my faith, my family, my finances, my fitness, my friendship, and my fun? Step number 2, very important. You measure what you treasure. You got to follow up, just like we did with Dr. Ennis. We follow up, we follow up, we follow up. You follow up every day. You got to track those numbers. It's so important that you track those numbers because what you measure, you treasure. And then step number 3 is you do have to follow up or your dreams are going to blow up. And so that's maybe uncomfortable for me today. And Dave, I think your son-in-law got a chance to see my first and second freak out of the morning previous to 8 a.m. But I'm saying, going, what are you guys doing? I want to be digging holes here. What are you doing? Because if you're not careful, people, they're excited to help, and maybe they start going the wrong way. And I'm going, no, we need to focus on planting these trees. That's what we need to do because that's what we're focused on today. And although, weed eating might be exciting and maybe putting in the mulch is exciting and maybe helping out on this is exciting, but your task, your focus is you got to dig those holes. And in the holes, it's hard to dig a 3 foot by 3 foot wide hole with a shovel in the Oklahoma soil. And when it's 100 degrees outside or 90 degrees, but you got to do it. And it might not be the most fun thing for the kids and the adults who are doing it to do, but there's that follow-up, and it's going to require that myopic focus. And that's why I think a lot of people that go to thrivetimeshow.com who invest in coming to our conference September 25 and 26, I think that's why people have such irrational, abnormal levels of success. Because they've never had a mentor in their life that's cared enough to have that uncomfortable conversation. They've never had somebody that's followed up. And that's why I tell people I charge you $1,700 a month. It's month to month. And it's because we do scholarships to help people in need. But I don't want to work with people that don't want to be worked. I don't want to work with people that don't want to put in the effort. And that's why they have such meteoric success, Dave, is because we're going to sit down with the customer, the client. We're going to figure out what are your big goals. We're going to develop a consistent plan that you can follow. We're going to break that down into metrics that you can follow up on or tracking sheets you can follow up on. And then third, Dave, is we're going to follow up. And we're probably going to talk about the same subjects until you hate the subject and I hate the subject. And then we'll follow up again. But that's what gets the success, Super Dave. And you know that. It's a consistency over time. That's what produces massive success.
So true.
I love it. One of the first things you said to us when we began, working with you, started a podcast because, we'd never met somebody who'd been a guest on a podcast, let alone run one. And we were kind of floundering around, kind of doing our best. We were kind of like a wounded animal, in the water, like, and, there's a lot of activity, but not a lot of movement. And you said, hey, for one thing, you did the quality, you did the best. You got to do a show every day.
Yep.
And, it's like right at 4 years now, we've had a show every single day without a miss, in that period of time. And I don't know somewhere they kind of got better. People may watch our show now and think you need to get a lot better. But if you don't think this is very good, you should have seen us when we started.
4 years ago.
Boy, that was terrible.
Come a long way.
And so, but I run into people a lot that are wanting to start a podcast. And they're like, I did one, I started in January, and now I'm getting back going again in the fall, and the kids go to school. They kind of start something, and you can't plant 500 trees 10 years from now. It's too big of a task to do in one day. So all of these things help, but most people do need a third party, accountability, a partner, somebody's going to kind of hold you to that standard. They're just not wired for it, in that area. And so it's such a great relationship that you offer, that to all kinds of businesses, all kinds of people doing lots of things. And it's moving the needle because people are thriving in America because of this coaching.
Clay, before we let you go, so we've been talking about the conference, which I'm really excited about in September. So again, people can either go to thrivetimeshow.com and, get tickets for that, or they can text 918-851-0102, 918-851-0102. You're not going to want to miss it. I'll just be honest, whether you own a business yet or you're an employee and you're thinking, hey, I would like to do better, you want to attend this conference.
And
so
just text the word flyover to that phone number, and then that'll get you in the loop for those tickets.
But can you also talk about, let's say that somebody's like, I own a business and I would like to possibly have you as a coach. Can you talk a little bit about that, what that actually takes and what they would have to do to start that process?
Yeah, well, first off, this is a great question. I want to make sure I answer it on the 5 levels that people always ask me about. So number one, what does it cost? If you go to Lifetime Fitness today, you go to your favorite LA Fitness, and you said, hey, I want to get a personal trainer. Usually about $1,500 a month gets that done, a personal trainer. If you go to a local CPA firm and you say, hey, I want a personal account specialist to help me get my finances in order, normally about $1,500 is what gets that in order. So what we do with our system is $1,700 a month. It's $1,700 a month. And what that does, and we have scholarships to help people in need as well, but what that does is we have an implementer that meets you every week. So an implementer who's not me meets you every single week. And then I, as your coach, am available to talk to you every day if need be. So you have an implementer and a coach. So what am I getting? An implementer and a coach. And some people tell me, I really like Sean. I really love talking to Carter. Man, I love talking to Andrew. It's that implementer. But whenever you need a coach that's not just implementing the plan, but somebody who has sort of a history of texture of having done the same thing for 25 plus years, that's why I'm available. And so that you get the implementer and they get the coach. Third thing you get there is we have a team that helps you. So today I was talking to a house cleaning service, and God bless them, they can't figure out their Google map, they can't figure out their website, they can't figure out their GoDaddy, they can't figure out their online ads, they can't figure out anything digital. It's like a dystopia. They can't figure out how to hire people. You say, what can they figure out? They're really good at cleaning, and therefore they're getting all these referrals. And they called and said, Clay, could you help us? My husband and I are running this company. We're doing the best we can, and we just don't know how to hire people. We don't have a process for onboarding. We don't know accounting. We don't know legal. We don't know marketing. We don't know social. But we do know how to clean. And credit to them, they're so good at cleaning that people are coming back and bringing friends. So we can help you bring order to that, and that's included. And then the fourth thing is we do include conference tickets for our clients. So our clients, if you want to upgrade to a VIP, you can do that. But our clients tell us that coming to those conferences and hearing Eric Trump or hearing Tim Tebow, or at the last conference, Kevin was a big star. Kevin was a guy who, the first time I met Kevin, he said, Clay, if I could ever have 5 employees, I would be living the dream. He this week just passed 300, and this is a true story, 361 full-time employees. So,
Wow.
he was an
big
last
payroll.
conference. People were like, people love this guy.
Yep.
They're going, you built a company that's so the clients kind of become the superstars at the conferences. So again, it's 2 days, it's interactive, it's 10 hours per day. And it starts at 7, it goes until 5. That's the workshop, and that's included in the coaching program. So again, $1,700 a month for the coaching. And we also have scholarships to help out people in need. One of your listeners that we've talked to, I don't know if they'll end up becoming a client or not, we'll see. They run a church. And they have a church, and their church has been stuck. And at the last conference, they sat next to Pastor Jackson Lawmeyer, and Pastor Jackson explained to him, hey, I've been a client for a long time, and our church is up about 7 times larger than it used to be.
Wow.
And it works. If you want to grow an organization and you want an organized approach to doing it, they'll help you. So if you have an organization, a nonprofit, a business, Stacy, we can help you at $1,700 a month, or we have a scholarship to help some people in need. But it all starts with a free 13-point assessment. And that's where I can talk to you, the listener out there. I can find out your goals and your needs in a very sane way to figure out, okay, where are you? Where do you want to be? Can we help you? And it really, this is my 20th year doing the same thing, and I couldn't be more passionate about it because when I was building my first company, DJConnection.com, I did not have a proven mentor. So I had to learn from mistakes, and that was a very painful, although hilarious process to talk about at conferences. It was a very painful process, and so that's how that whole coaching system works, Stacy.
That is awesome. So if somebody wants to set up that 13-point assessment, do they just text the phone number 918-851-0102 and let you know, or go to Thrive Time Show? What's the best way to do that?
I think the best way is to text me, because that way you have my personal cell phone, by the way. So that way you can text me. We'll schedule that up there. And if you use promo code FLYOVER, you also get a chance to win a backstage pass. You get a discount off of VIP tickets. There's a lot there to it. But I'd love to have that consultation with you again. So just text my number, 918-851-0102, 918-851-0102. And I'll say this too, final note. Our average client is usually with us until they sell the company. So when you're at the conference, one of our clients was at the conference about a year ago, and I remember somebody said, how long have you been a client? He said, 17 years. And they're like, he's only 44. So you've been with him since he was like 27? So they came up to me right away to verify this story. And I go, yeah, this guy's been with me since I was my mid-20s. So again, very little turnover. It's like you're joining a community,
Yep.
a mastermind, a network group. And we all kind of become friends. I think most of our listeners now know Colton. They now know who he is. They know he's the God's gift to the cash flow quadrant game. I know
true,
Robert
actually.
Kiyosaki knows who he is. No, to set that up, Colton, during the dinner, I kept bringing you up. I was having dinner with him, and I kept talking about you. So that way he'd be receptive to hearing about you the next day. So it's kind of that community, and we can do fun things like that because it's a group of 160 clients, and we're expanding that up just a little bit right now to kind of help a few more people this year. But I encourage everybody out there, we can help you. Don't get stuck.
That is exactly right. Man, we are so thankful for you, Clay. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for giving so freely every single week with tips for people to help to improve their life, improve their business, improve their family. We are so thankful for that. Flavor Family, go to thrivetimeshow.com or text the phone number 918-851-0102 to get tickets or that 13-point assessment.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
4,000% from February to February. Now I can better that. Okay, Clay, I don't think you know this. I don't think you know this. I'm pinching myself, and if I cry, forgive me. In the last 2.5 days, we have bettered our entire month of February in the last 2.5 days. So, and the phone's blowing up. Everything's just blowing up. You're right. It is like a rocket ship. So we're pinching ourselves, actually.
I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York, acta non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
But I recognized at the age of 15, I'm going, you know what? I am not going to live that way. And so I started a company out of my parents' basement called djconnection.com. And I decided I am going to have success. And so I reached out to millionaires and people that I kind of knew through church and friendships and parents of my friends. And I said, what book would you recommend that I read? I'm a 15-year-old asking this question. True story. And I kept being told, you got to read.
Hello. Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Radio Show. It's an exciting time. Also, I think a treacherous time, a spooky time also. But it's always, danger is a good time. Today, my guest is Clay Clark, and I went out with Tom Wheelwright to visit Clay with Eric Trump also. And the reason I want to talk to Clay this morning is a very important subject called study. And the reason I say that is things are changing so fast, and many people are completely missing the show. Things are changing at rapid speed. Technology is changing. And so I went to Tulsa, again, with Tom Wheelwright and Eric Trump. And the thing I was so impressed about Clay is this word called study. I don't know, you guys must be in your water or something, Clay, but boy, I was so impressed how big you guys are. But what really impressed me was you have this huge congregation. They're all about guys your age. They're on fire. And you start your classes at 5 a.m. Now, let me talk to you about study here. We show our books here. Now, this is how I study. This is The Creature from Jekyll Island. It's on the Fed. And Clay's doing the same thing. We study. So I go out to Clay's place in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He's built this huge compound out there. And you guys start at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's not by Zoom. They drive there. They show up 5 o'clock, bright-haired, bushy-tailed and all this. And they're on fire. Your group is on fire. So that's what was on Clay, this technology. You tell your group, I was so impressed. Because, like I said, studies became a bad word. I got into fights in my own company because our staff didn't want to study anymore. And I don't know how they cannot do that. So, Clay, anyway, welcome to the Rich Dad Radio Show. That's what I want to talk to you about, is how do you do it? 5 o'clock in the morning, you have hundreds of people showing up in your huge auditorium on your property to study. Anyway, welcome to the show, Clay, and What turns you on so much? That's what I want to know. Give us a little about your background.
My name is Karime Schofield, and the name of our company is Whistle While You Clean.
I am Sophia Schofield.
We live in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we service the tri-state, so Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana.
We were getting a phone call, and we were like, why is someone calling our business line? That's unusual, and we picked it up, and it was a lead.
I mean, it's been incredible, Clay. We've gone from 0 to like 100% growth. Like we're like a full functioning company. It's great. Like we're blown away at how well we're doing. So working with you guys have really taught us a lot about generating leads and pursuing our Dream 100. So we have a list of customers that we want to market to. And so we've been making phone calls, we've been showing up in person. We're trying to get near the businesses that they would visit if they were visiting like a hair salon or something. And then we start calling them and we just start pursuing them. And then the other thing that we do is when we do cleans, we take a lot of video testimonials and we post those to our website so other customers can see. And then we also upload a lot of images of the things that we do. And so we're also asking our clients for Google reviews after we've cleaned their houses. And so it's this constant like cycle of doing those things over and over and over again. I would say if you're on the fence, go to one of Clay's conferences. They are hilarious. They're fun. They're educational. They're so good that even my teenagers like them. And I would say don't let fear hold you back. If you want to start a business, do the obvious thing and hire someone who knows how to run businesses. If I wanted to get in shape, I'd hire a gym person, a personal trainer. This is like the personal training for business. It has been absolutely amazing. I mean, our coach is encouraging. When he first met with us, he said, do we want him to be like a drill sergeant with us? What level of intensity do we want him to give us? And I will say he is incredibly encouraging all the time. And he just hits the same mark with us every single time. It's very repetitive. But I think we both really learn a lot every time we sit down and have a conversation with him over the phone. He keeps pushing us to go further, and he can recognize when we're afraid to do something and he'll give us a little bit of grace, but that next week he's drilling us again, like pushing us to go harder. Our no-brainer offer is we are offering your first clean for $1. And that sounds absolutely insane. It even sounded insane when I was talking over it with our business coach. And I will tell you that has generated some of our hugest clients. I mean, that has been like a game changer because it opened up the door to more clients, more recommendations, more leads. And we were surprised how far that dollar clean got us.
How important has it been for you to work out that scripting, even though you offer $1 for the first clean? How important has it been for you to nail that down?
It's been really important because it kind of it hones in so that you're not just all over the place when you're trying to explain what it is that you do. And a lot of times it's like you're a good person offering a good product and you have integrity and you want to communicate that. But when you go to communicate without a script or without practice, it's just like a mess coming out of your mouth, as opposed to having this, honed in practice where you know what you're going to say, you know how you're going to say it, and you can almost expect better results when you do it that way.
Had you ever been an entrepreneur before starting this particular business?
No, never.
Did you ever think about wanting to own your own business someday? Or what was the first time you thought, maybe I would like to open my own business?
Absolutely. I've probably been dreaming about it for about 10 years.
Okay. And let me go to your daughter here. Had you ever thought about wanting to team up and open your own business? Or was that something that you were maybe excited about or not so much?
Well, for me, my parents would always listen to your podcast and business podcast. And as I started listening to them, I started realizing that I wanted to own a business.
It's www.whistlewhileyouclean.com. Honestly, the hardest thing was getting over the fear. It was the fear of the unknown. There was like a cloud of doubt that, you can't do this, you're gonna fail. There was a few sleepless nights there when we did pull the trigger and join your team and start the coaching process. Even my husband put a little bit of pressure on me from time to time because it was just absolutely scary to take that jump and actually start a business.